कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी।
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी।
जय गोपी जन बल्लवा गिरवरधारी।
यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन।
यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जन रंजन।
यमुनातीरावनचारि।
यमुना तीरा बनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे।
Hare
हरे राम
Hare
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
हरे
Ram Hare Ram
राम
Ram Ram
राम
Hare Hare
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे
Hare
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 राम
Rama
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama
राम
Rama Rama
राम हरे
Hare
हरे।
Hare
जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय।
जय
Jaya Gaurani
गौरानिताय
Thai
जय
Jaya Gaurani
गौरानिताय
Thai
जय
Jaya Gaurani
गौरानिताय
Thai
जय
Jaya Gaurani
गौरानिताय।
Thai
जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा।
जय
Jaya
प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada, Jaya
Srila
प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada, Jaya
जय प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada,
शिला
Srila
प्रभुपाद।
Prabhupada.
जय गौर हरि
हरि बोल।
बोल हरि बोल। Hari Bol Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari
Hari
Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Nitai Gaura
Bora Hari Bol.
जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक श्री श्रीमद अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Jai
अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की
Jai
युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की
Jai
गौर प्रेमानंदे
Hari
Hari
Bol.
all
Bol.
glory to Guru and Gauranga, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
dear
Krishna.
devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome you all for our daily morning reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Today, actually, Her Grace Jamuna Mataji was going to give the class, but due to some unavoidable situation, she won't be able to join us. So I will try. I know I'm not qualified. There are so many senior Vaishnavas already here. But by the mercy of all of you, Vaishnavas, and by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, and the entire Guru Parampara, I seek the blessings, and I will try to repeat something that I have heard from Srila Prabhupada and his followers. And whatever comes out, whatever seems useful in what I say, it is by the mercy of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and whatever is faulty, whatever it seems like mistake, is my lack of realization and my disqualification. So I don't intend to make any offenses to any Vaishnavas, but if I do, I seek your forgiveness in advance. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, the creative impetus, and we are in the chapter 4 titled Rishabh-dev, the supreme characteristics of Rishabh-dev, the supreme personality of Godhead. And we are going to read a few verses today, verse 10, 11, 12, and 13. So these are all written in prose, so I don't prefer to force them into some meter. So verse 10, 11, and 12 I'll read myself, and then 13 we will read together, and then we will speak something. I'll share the screen. Where is the thing? Share. There, chapter 10, this one. Yes. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayamudite nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavati devaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya
Om
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
5, 4, 10 तमनु कुशावर्त इलावर्तो ब्रह्मावर्तो मलयः केतुर्भद्रसेन इन्द्र स्पृग्विदर्भः कीटक इति नवनवति प्रधानः. Word to word. Tam, him,
Tam, him,
anu,
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 following.
following.
Now these are some names following, names of few sons of Rishabh-dev. So I'll just say the names because just being aware that we have to cover a few verses today. Kushavarta, Ilavartah, Brahmavartah, Malayah, Ketuh, Bhadrasenah, Indraspruk, Vidarbha, Kitakah. So all these are names of few sons of Rishabh-dev. Iti, thus, Nava, 9, Navati, 90. Pradhanaha, older than. Translation by Krishna Prabhupamurti, His Loving Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Following Bharat, there were 99 other sons. named, among these were 9 elderly sons named Kushavarta, Ilavarta, Brahmavarta, Malaya, Ketu, Bhadrasen, Indrastuk, Vidarbha, and Ketar. Verse 11 and 12. Again, they are written in prose, so we won't try to sing them. I won't be able to. So I will read it. Kavir Havir Antarikshah Prabuddah Pippalayanah Avir होत्रोथ द्रुमिलश्चमसः करभाजनः इति भागवत धर्म दर्शना नव महाभागवतास्तेषां सुचरितं भगवान् महिमोपगृहीतं वसुदेव नारद संवादम् उपशमायनम् उपरिष्टाद वर्णयिष्यामः. Word to word. कवि हवि अंतरिक्षः अंतरिक्ष प्रबुद्ध पिप्पलायन आविर्होत्र. Again, these are names of sons of Rishabdev. Atha, also Drumilah, Drumil, Chamasah, Chamas, Karbhajan, iti. Thus, Bhagavat Dharma Darshana, authorized preachers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nava, 9 Mahabhagavataha, highly advanced devotees. Tesham, of them, Sucharitam, good characteristics. Bhagavat Mahima Upabruhitam, accompanied by the glories of the Supreme Lord. Vasudeva Narada Samvadam, within the conversation between Vasudev and Narad. Upashamayanam, which gives full satisfaction to the mind. Uparishtata, hereafter, in the 11th canto. Varnayishyamaha, I shall vividly explain. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In addition to these sons were Kavi, Havi, Antariksh, Prabhuta, Pippalayan, Avirhotra, Drumil, Chamas, and Karbhajan. These were all very exalted, advanced devotees and authorized preachers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. These devotees were glorified due to their strong devotion to Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they were very exalted. To satisfy the mind perfectly, Sukdev Goswami shall hereafter describe the characteristics of these 9 devotees when I discuss the conversation between Narada and Vasudeva. Text 13. Yaviyansa ekashitir jayanteyaha pitura deshakara mahashalina mahashrotriya yagnashilaha karma vishuddha brahmana babuhu. Please repeat after me synonyms. Yaviyamsaha,
Yaviyamasa,
younger.
Younger.
Ekashitihi,
Ekashitihi,
numbering 81.
numbering
81.
Jayanteyaha,
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 the sons of Jayanti, the wife of Rishabdev.
the sons of Jayanti, the wife of
the wife
Rishabdev.
of Vishwadev.
Pituhu,
Pituhu,
of their father.
Of their father.
Adeshakaraha,
Adeshataraha,
Adeshakaraha,
following the order.
following the order.
Mahashalinaha,
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 well-behaved, well-cultured.
well-behaved, well-cultured.
well-cultured.
Mahashrutriyaha,
Mahashrutriyaha,
Mahashrotriyaha,
extremely learned in Vedic knowledge.
extremely learned in Vedic knowledge.
Yagnashilaha,
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 expert in performing ritualistic ceremonies.
expert in performing ritualistic ceremonies.
Karma Vishuddhaha,
Karma Vishuddhaha,
Vishuddhaha,
very pure in their activities.
very pure
their
in their activities.
Brahmanaha,
Brahmanaha,
qualified Brahmanas.
qualified Brahmanas.
Babuhu,
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 became.
became.
Translation, please repeat after me. In addition to these 19 sons mentioned above,
In addition to these 19 sons mentioned above,
there were 81 younger ones,
there were 81 younger ones,
all born of Rishabdev and Jayanti.
all born of Rishabdev and Jayanti.
According to the order of their father,
according to the order of their father,
they became
they became
well-cultured, well-behaved, very pure in their activities,
well-cultured, well-behaved, very
well-behaved,
pure
very
in their
pure in their
activities,
activities,
and expert in Vedic knowledge
and
and
expert
expert
in Vedic
in Vedic
knowledge
knowledge
and the performance of Vedic rituals.
and the
and the
performance
performance
of
of
Vedic
Vedic
rituals.
rituals.
Thus, they all became
Thus, they
Thus
all
they all
became
became
perfectly qualified Brahmanas.
perfectly
perfectly
qualified
qualified
Brahmanas.
Brahmanas.
Would anyone like to read this purport, or I can read?
I can read if you like.
Yes, please. Mataji, please read.
Okay, thank you. From this verse, we have good information of how the castes are qualified according to quality and work. Rishabdeva, a king, was certainly a Kshatriya. He had 100 sons, and out of these 10 were engaged as Kshatriyas and ruled the planet. 9 sons became good preachers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Mahabhagavatas, and this indicates that they were above the position of Brahmanas. The other 81 sons became highly qualified Brahmanas. These are some practical examples of how one can become fit for a certain type of activity by qualification, not by birth. All the sons of Maharaj Rishvadev were Kshatriyas by birth, but by quality, some of them became Kshatriyas and some became Brahmanas. 9 became preachers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavat Dharma Darshanaha, which means that they were above the categories of Kshatriya and Brahmana. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Om Gnanatimirandasya
Andasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam
Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave
Namah
Namah
Shri
Shri
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Apitam
Hey.
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sahajatam Sahagararam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagara He Krishna Karuna Bandhu
Jagatpate
Vesha Gopika
Kanta
Radha
Namastute
Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavani Vishvanusudevi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Ashat Deshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Nityananda Shri
Nityananda
Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauri Bhakti Vrinda
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Good to stop sharing the screen. Okay. So these 4 verses that we read about, they are about the sons of Lord Rishabdev. And again, let me mention that Rishabdev was not some ordinary personality. He was Supreme Personality of Godhead who had appeared as an avatar. So his why he appeared, the main purpose of his appearance was giving pleasure to, first of all, his devotee Nabi, King Nabi. King Nabi had a desire that he has a son like Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he appeared to give pleasure to King Nabi, to set an example of ruling as an ideal king, and to demonstrate, to show us the proper varnashram conduct as a kshatriya, and teach the ideal grihastha life. So these were few of the purposes of this avatara, this Rishabdev incarnation. And so the verse we read yesterday, 548, that verse clearly stated all this, that Rishabdev had entered a household life. Why? Because to teach by his own example. And he followed the duties that are prescribed for Grihastha, for Kshatriya and Shruti and Smriti. And he raised his sons who became highly qualified. And I remember a couple of days ago, someone had asked a question at the end of the class, if Rishabdev having these 100 sons, if that suggests that he was engrossed in some sense enjoyment, or something along those lines. So first of all, he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna had 16,108 queens in Dwarka and 10 sons with each one of them. So do we get to say the same about Krishna? No. So see, Rishabdev has his 100 sons, and we can see in the verses we have read today. And out of them, we see the most prominent was Bharat Maharaj. Bharat became a very exalted devotee. And then the 9 sons following Bharat Maharaj, they became Mahabhagavatas, preachers of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And 9 more, they became the rulers, Kshatriyas. And 81, so most of them, they became qualified Brahmanas. So the outcome, his children, the outcome indicates that, it indicates a disciplined and a very purposeful household life that Rishabdev has demonstrated. And it does not show, it does not indicate any irresponsible sense enjoyment. Here in the purport of this verse 13, Prabhupada, he points out that although Rishabdev was a Kshatriya, so therefore his sons were born in a Kshatriya family, but still they had to become qualified according to their particular activities. And although they were all born of Maharaj Rishabdev, some of them became Kshatriyas, and some actually took up the activities of Brahmanas. One of them became a great devotee. So the point that's being emphasized here by Srila Prabhupada in this purport is that, it's not by birth, it's by qualification. It's by the qualification of one's character. And 81 of his sons, they became Brahmanas, even though he himself was a Kshatriya. Rishabdev was born in a Kshatriya, so his sons were born in Kshatriya family, but 81 of them, majority of them turned out to be Brahmanas. So if we talk about Brahmanas, what is a Brahmana? In the scriptures, it is stated that Shad Karmo Nipuno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharadaha. So qualified Brahmana, he must be expert in the occupational duties of a Brahmana. Sat Karma Nipuno Vipro, 6 duties, 6 kind of activities. They are called Pathan, Yajan, Dan, pratigraha. So, Pathan, Patan, so to study the scripture, to teach the scripture, yajan, to worship the Lord, and to teach others how to worship the Lord. Dan, to give in charity, and pratigraha, to accept charitable gifts. So these are the 6 duties, 6 activities of a Brahmana. So someone may be born in a Brahman family, and in current time, it is very common in for people in India to take up other activities and still think that they are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or whatever, just because they are born in that family. Something very interesting Prabhupada said in a lecture. Prabhupada once mentioned that a person said to him, that I'm a Brahmana. And then Prabhupada asked him, but what do you do? Then he said, well, I'm pulling the rickshaw. And I'm pulling rickshaw, but see, I have my Brahman thread. So Prabhupada said that is not a Brahmanam. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13 that the Chaturvarna, the 4 Varnas, the Varnashram system, it was created by me, maya srishtam, but guna karma vibhagashaha. This vibhajan, this division was made based on guna and karma, qualities and activities. So it is according to your nature, your inclinations, the activities you perform, the qualifications you acquire, and not by your particular birth that you become a Brahmana, or Kshatriya, or Vaishya, or Shudra. And this is very clear in the scriptures. If we study Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ourselves, how much of the scriptures do we know? We just know a few verses of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but even we know that much, that Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha, it's based on qualities and activities. So if we read the scriptures, it is clearly clearly mentioned in the scriptures, and we accept this. So actually, Brahmanas, their first duty being Patana, reading the scriptures, and Patana, teaching the scriptures to others, they should know this, that it is based on Guna Karma. But for some reason, the current caste system, it has become very rigid. But the Varna Vyavastha that was created by Krishna, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, it is perfect. But the whole caste system that we see in today's time, it's actually the downfall of the Vedic culture. It has become very strict and very rigid caste system. And not only Brahmanas, even those who are born in Kshatriya families, nowadays there are no kings in India, right? There is monarchy. But still, if you see the attitude of those who were born in Kshatriya families, in previously royal families, especially the men, you will see how much they are proud of their rich history and their heritage. And I can say that because I was born in a Kshatriya family, and I've seen this very closely, that person may be living in a very very poor, uneducated kind of condition, but still be proud that I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a royal. So one can be born in a particular caste, particular family, and they think accordingly that I'm a Brahmana or Kshatriya. And this same situation, it happened in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time also, way back in the early 1900s. So at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching based on the scripture, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And he was emphasizing that this caste system, these varnas Krishna created based on guna and karma, qualities and activities. So there was a controversy. There was a very strong controversy based on what is a Brahmana and what is a Vaishnava. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was explaining based on scripture, and he was saying that actually Vaishnava is more elevated, spiritually elevated, more better than a Brahmana. Because, the Brahmana if he is not engaged in devotional service, then he cannot even deliver himself. So what to speak of others? There is a verse in second canto. It says, Tapasvino Danapara. Tapasvino Danapara Yashasvino Manasvino Mantravida Sumangalam Kshemam Navindanti Vinaya Darpanam Tasmai Subhadra Shavase Namo Namaha. Shukdev Goswami says that one can be tapasvi, one can be a tapasvi, danapara, one can be a very charitable person, yashasvino, very popular, manasvino, one can be a great philosopher, mantravida, very expert in remembering and chanting the Vedic mantras. One can be sumangala, very strict follower of the principles of Vedas. One can be all of that, but what is the use of any of this if there is no devotion to Supreme Lord Krishna? If they do not dedicate the results of their karma to Krishna, then what is the use? And on the contrary, there is another verse in second canto that says the completely opposite thing. It says, Kirat Hunandra Pulaksha Amir Shumbha Yavana Kasadayaham Yenye Chapapa Yadashpashaya Shudhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Shukdev Goswami again says, this is verse Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:4-18. So Shukdev Goswami says that one can be a Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa. So all these are races, and Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he lists all of them and explains what these races mean, and he explains where in the world these races exist. So Kirata, they are the aboriginal tribes of India, and some of these are Germans and Russians, Sindh province, some are Greek, Mongolians, Chinese, Malachas, Yavanas. So Prabhupada explains in detail where these castes exist. So Shukdev Goswami says one can be any of these, but if they are addicted to sinful acts, any one of these can be purified, provided they take shelter of the Lord. Shuddhyanti, they can be purified. Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. So whatever sinful activities they have performed in past, if they take ashray, the shelter of Supreme Lord Vishnu, then they can be purified. So this is the kind of thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching. So even if one is born in a very so-called low class, living very total, very unvedic, unqualified, born in a unqualified, unvedic family, but if somehow or other they take the process of devotional service and they become purified through that process, then it is that process that purifies them. It is not by birth or any kind of material qualification. So one can be expert in so many things, but these expertise, especially our material expertise or material qualifications, they just lead to other material desires. So they simply lead to another birth unless one uses this expertise in the service of the Lord. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching on this basis. So then he was challenged by the smart Brahmanas. So there was this Brahminical class, especially the smart Brahmanas. They were very strong at that time, and they were challenging Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So then it was decided that there will be a debate on who is actually more qualified to practice devotional life, the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas. who was actually more higher, Brahmanas or the Vaishnavas. So on September month, 8th September 1911, in Midnapur district of Bengal, there was a debate arranged, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was scheduled to go there and represent the Vaishnavas. But at that time, these Brahmanas, they were, they were very much against Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and they were looking forward to this debate. But at the last moment, very close to the actual date of the debate, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he became very ill. He came down with a rheumatic fever. And then, he was very sick, bedridden, he couldn't go. So then, he was thinking, what will I do? And of course, at that time, his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, he was already initiated and he was living a brahmachari life. So he came up, he had compiled some written papers based on the scriptural evidence. He had done his research, gathered all the scriptural evidence, shlokas. So then, he presented all these to his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and, he showed them to him. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was very impressed. He was very enlivened. So he said, yes, you are qualified. You can go and you can go and speak your understanding. So he said, yeah, you can go and you can share the truth of the Vedas. You can enlighten all of these people in the position of the Vaishnavas. So, of course, all these, the research that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had done, later it came out in form of a book by ISKCON. It is called Brahmana and Vaishnava. But anyways, that debate, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went there on behalf of his father, and nobody knew him, and he was asked to speak first. And the debate began. And, the debate was for 3 days. He was the first speaker. So, there were many Brahmanas there. They were qualified Brahmanas. And there were some smart Brahmanas, those who are Brahmanas in the name only. So, smart Brahmanas is a term that is used, for like those who try to make living from their spiritual knowledge. So, it's more like an occupation. So then, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the beginning, he started glorifying the Brahmanas. And, he was quoting verse after verse after verse from the scriptures. So he was glorifying the position of Brahmanas. And he was explaining that, one who is born in a Brahman family is considered to have a very successful birth. So, all the Brahmanas, they were very joyful. They were saying that, he's speaking, he's supposed to speak from the other side, but actually he's on our side. So, they were listening and they were feeling very happy. And then at one point during that discussion, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he changed. And then he started quoting the evidences from Shastras that say that, yes, if one can be born in a Brahmin family, but if they are not engaged in devotional service, then he cannot even save himself. And then, so how can they save others? So he quoted some other verses also that say that if one is born in a Shudra family, there is actually a verse in 7th canto. In 7th canto, there is a chapter 11, which is titled The Perfect Society for Social Classes. And then there is this verse that Narad Muni says, verse is 7:11:35. So there, Narad Muni says, Yasya yal lakshanam proktam. If one shows lakshanam, the symptoms of being a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or Shudra, lakshanam, his symptoms. No? Even if he has appeared in a different class, then he should be accepted according to his symptoms, lakshana. So, if Brahmanical qualities are there, in someone who is born in a Shudra family or even in Chandal family, then he could be accepted as a Brahmana. And on the contrary, if someone is born in a Brahman family, but they have Shudra qualities, then they should be regarded as a Shudra. So like this, there are many verses in Shastra that say that, it does not matter what birth you take. But if you are engaged in devotional service, then you are better than a Brahmana, birth Brahmana. So like this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established the higher position of the Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada has said this in many of his purports and his classes. In one class, Srila Prabhupada shared something. It's quite funny. So, actually what happened when the devotees from America, they first came to India, back in early 1970s. It was like a novelty for the locals. They'd never seen Goras as Vaishnavas. No? So, even today, when we go to Vrindavan, the rickshawalas, they call our Krishna Balram temple Goro Ka Mandir or Angrejo Wala Mandir. So, at that time, the local population, they would see the American devotees and they would appreciate them. They would encourage them. And sometimes the devotees would come back from Loi Bazaar or somewhere in Vrindavan. And then, they will say to Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, we met someone and they said that, oh, you are doing so nicely. You are wearing dhoti, keeping shikha, tilak, you are eating no meat, no onion, garlic even, no tea, coffee. You are studying script, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So I'm giving you a blessing. In the next birth, you take birth in a Brahman family. So this is my blessing to you. Because they had come from the West, they were born in a background that is not very very well regarded in Vedic culture, and they had no training in Vedic culture. So they were regarded below the Varnashram system, Malishas and Yavanas. So this person blessed that may you be born in a Brahman family. So when the devotees tell this to Srila Prabhupada would laugh, and he would say that it's like something. It is something like a police chief. He's giving a blessing to the president of the country that may you become police chief in your next life. Because the president is already in a higher position. So Srila Prabhupada would explain that, see, once one takes the process of devotional service, that process alone, that process is what purifies. There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, he says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it is about how Kansa, bell metal, gets transformed into gold. So it says, Yatha Kanchana Tam Yati Kansyam Rasa Vidhanatah Tatha Diksha Vidhanena Dvijatvam Jayate Nrunam. Rasa Vidhana, by alchemical process, Kansya, the bell metal, it gets transformed into gold. So similarly, Diksha Vidhanena, by proper initiation, any person can attain Dvijatvam. Any person can attain the position of a twice born Brahmana. So, certainly there is a transformation of our character, our qualities that happens, and not just by the ceremony aspect of our initiation, but through the proper Vaishnava initiation and training and our chanting and our endeavoring to execute the process of pure devotional service. So yes, that does result in genuine development of Brahminical qualification and tendencies. And then, a person like that is no longer within the Varnashram system. For Vaishnava, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that नाहं विप्रो न च नरपतिर्नापि वैश्यो न शूद्रो नाहं वर्णी न च गृहपतिर्नो वनस्थो यतिर्वा किन्तु प्रोद्यान्निखिल परमानन्दपूर्णामृताब्धे गोपी भर्तु पदकमलयोर्दासदासानुदासम्. So I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a householder, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm none of these things. I'm simply Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Das Dasan Dasan. Just simply the servant of the Gopi Bhartu, the protector of gopis of Vrindavan. So that is the position of a Vaishnava, devotee. Devotee does not identify himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Vaishnava does not identify himself with any kind of external labels or trappings, because that's what all these identities are. Brahman, Kshatriya, these are labels. In Gujarati, salt, we call salt mithu. Now, mithu literally means sweet. But is the salt sweet? No, because salt's quality is to be salty. So that is what identity of salt is, not the label. So we identify things through their qualities and their functions. Again, Krishna says, Chatur Varnama Srishtam Gun Karma Vibhagasha, Gun and Karma, qualities and activities. And I'll give two examples, very simple examples. Imagine your parents, they ask you to go to airport and pick up your cousin. Now, you've never met this cousin. You haven't met them for, say, many, many years. And you see a person coming out of the airport, they are walking towards you, and they look, vaguely familiar. And then you keep thinking, do I know this person? And, for a moment you hesitate. You don't know how to react. Should I smile? Should I wave? Should I walk over to them and ask the name? Should I hug, or should I simply ignore them? So, until you know who they are, you don't know how to behave with them, right? So, but suddenly, they come closer, they introduce, and then you recognize them and you say, oh, that's my cousin. So immediately our behavior changes. Nothing about that person has changed, but only our understanding of their identity changed. So in the simple situation, what we learn is that our relationship with someone, that relationship determines our behavior with them. So that is called a relationship sambandha. So sambandha leading to abhideya. Another example I remember, a couple of months ago, Mataji met me at a Saturday feast. I'm not sure if she is here today. No, she's not here. So Mataji met me in the temple on the Saturday feast, Prasadam queue. And as soon as she saw me, she got very excited and she started talking to me like she knows me very well. And I was like, do I know you? Where did we meet? What's happening with my memory? Why can't I recognize this lady? So then, I had to interrupt her, and I had to do the most embarrassing thing. I had to ask her, how do I know you, Mataji? And then she realized, you know what? Because she was seeing me in the Bhagavatam classes. Because mostly, how it is happening is the speaker turns their video on, and everyone is seeing them. But most of the people, they keep their videos off. So we only see the names. So, when she said her name, then I realized that, oh, it is this Mataji. So, nice to put a face to the name. So again, sambandha, that leading to abhideya. Now we know, now I know what is my sambandha, my relationship with this Mataji. And then I know how do I behave, how do I act. So relationship leading to activity. So, because when we know our relationship to someone or something, that decides our conduct with them. So, this situation, why I brought this up here is because, this is what is happening in this purport by Srila Prabhupada for verse 13, that what determines the occupation, what determines the identity of the sons of Rishabdev is their qualities in their activities. And we actually, we need to apply this principle before we apply it to others. We need to apply it to on ourselves, how, because in our lives also, we must know who we are. We must know our real identity before we decide the goal, before we know what to do with this life. So what will I do is based on who am I. You cannot decide what will I do unless you first understand who am I. And there is a pastime that relates to this very statement. In the beginning days of our movement, everyone lived in temple, and everyone went out for book distribution. So one time, Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees, he was having a conversation and he was asking, so, when you see a new person, how do you start talking to them? How do you try to preach our Krishna conscious philosophy to a complete newcomer? And the devotees said that, Prabhupada, we try to convince them. We say that, there must be a God, right? So Srila Prabhupada said, no. First, what you should preach first, first you preach identity, who we are. We are not this body, we are the spirit souls. Again and again, Srila Prabhupada repeats in his lectures this very simple fact that we are not this body, we are the spirit souls. Once in a class on Janmashtami, the whole class Prabhupada did not speak on anything, but he spoke about we are not the body, we are the spirit souls. So that's a very important fact to understand, very important principle to understand. So Prabhupada said to the book distributors that, first you tell them our identity, we are not this body, we are the spirit souls, and then you give them the glimpse into our philosophy. And in our current time also, we see, some people, they are confused. Some people we see, they are in a man's body, but they feel like woman, or vice versa. So they themselves are confused about their identity. And that reflects in our behavior for them also. We also don't know how to treat them, because if there is a woman, we treat them a certain way, and you yourself, you are a woman, you carry yourself in a certain way, and you get treated a certain way. So we get socially confused. So this identity is very important for us. Our identity is that we are soul. Of course, when it comes to Krishna consciousness, we are not this body, we are souls. So it doesn't matter what body we are in, but what is important is to understand who we are, and how we understand that. How do we understand our identity? We understand our identity by by analyzing our own qualities. And this is true. These verses that we read today, they are talking about both levels, material level, Varna. Some of the sons of Rishabdev, are they Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas? So they're talking on that material level. And on the spiritual level also, it is talking, are they Mahabhagavatas? Are they above? Prabhupada ends his purport by saying that they are above categories of Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. So all these then can be understood by their qualities. So in our case, for us to determine our identity, we need to understand our qualities. From qualities, we understand the identity. From identity, we understand our activity. We understand what we're supposed to do and what is our goal of life. For example, you you walk into a operation theater, and on the table there are so many tools, many metal instruments, different shapes and different sharpness, and for us they all look similar, because we don't know the use of them. But when a surgeon walks in, surgeon knows the distinct identity of each one of them. They will know that this is a scalpel, this is a forceps, this is a clamp, and he knows their identity, and then he knows how to use each one of them. But for us, we are confused. So if we perform the surgery, it will be dangerous. So similarly, in our case, when we misunderstand our own identity, when we are not clear about our identity, then our whole life can become a disaster, misdirected, wasted life. And in our case also, in the verses, two kind of identities are being talked about, material and spiritual. In our case also, there is our material identity, our temporary identity, the identity of our body, and there is our eternal identity of our identity as a soul. So, temporarily, my name is Bhavna, I'm this person's wife, I'm this kid's mother, I was born in such and such family, this is what I do for profession. So these are all my temporary identity. So if we want to know what is our identity, our real identity, ultimate identity, then we need to see our just knowing this temporary identity is not enough. The most important is to understand our eternal identity, because this temporary label can be very temporary. If we, in our house, if we see an ant is walking past, and imagine if the ant is shouting that I'm the queen of the ants, I'm the queen of the ants. How would that feel? Because in relation to this ginormous creation, we are like an ant only. Our Burijan Prabhu, he had calculated that in comparison to Lord Brahma's lifespan, our whole human life, imagine considering we will live for 100 years, our lifespan is 8 billionth of a second long. So in our comparison, ants' lifespan is very minute. In Brahma's comparison, our lifespan is 8 billionth of a second. So even if we live 100 years, it's only 8 billionth of a second in the universe. So, to know what is my identity for that 8 billionth of that second, that is important. But, because one has to know what his function in the world is. But more important is, what is my eternal identity? What am I eternally? And we are completely, it's very clear from our qualities that we are not matter. If we think of what qualities, what individual qualities we have, we have individual qualities, like somebody likes cooking, somebody likes playing, somebody likes traveling. Yes, but we have some individual particular qualities, but we all have some common qualities. Even if the little ant, if she is walking and you put your finger in her path, then she will use all her force to bite you. Why? Because she wants to leave, and you are a danger. That's why. So one quality we all have is that we want to live, but we don't want an eternal life, like some 500-year-old person in a wheelchair, with a cane. No, we don't want a life like that. We want a long life. We want to live forever, but we want to live in youth and health. And at least we imagine that we will always be like that. So that's the plan. Even, sometimes you might say that, oh, some people commit suicide, so they don't want to live. But no, even if somebody is about to commit suicide and someone goes to them and tells them that I will solve all your problems, so, will they die? No. So one quality we all have is we want to live. That is one of our qualities. And then we are curious. We want to understand, and other qualities, we want to be happy. All the advertisements that we see, they will say, oh, you buy this deodorant, you buy this car, you will be happy. And nobody is advertising that, you buy this car and you will be miserable. Then no one will buy it. So, another quality is we want to be happy, and we want happiness that never ends, and we want happiness in variety. Then another quality we have is we want relationships. We want lasting relationships. So these are some of our qualities of jivas. So they are. It's very clear that this is completely opposite to matter. Matter is constantly dying. In olden times, we buy a machine. In my parents' time, I know we buy a blender or something, then whole life the blender would last. But nowadays, you buy something and it gets broken in a few days. So matter is always dying, always deteriorating. And everything is like that, matter is dead. Matter has no knowledge. I'm sitting on a chair, but I know that I'm sitting on the chair. Chair doesn't know, and I may say that, oh, I love my phone, but my phone doesn't love me. So matter doesn't have relationship. Matter doesn't have knowledge. Matter cannot live. Matter cannot feel happiness or sadness. There is a nice story in Rath Yatra. Srivas Thakur, Chaitanya Charitamrita comes this pastime that in Rath Yatra, Srivas Thakur, with Srivas Thakur, with him there was another devotee named Hari Chandan. So, they were all trying to pull the Rath, and this Hari Chandan was constantly pushing Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur and Maharaj Prataprudra, they are trying to watch Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they were trying to see that, oh, he has manifested in all 7 dance parties, and he is dancing in all 7 dance parties. They are trying to watch, and this Hari Chandan, he keeps coming in the way, and he keeps pushing Srivas Thakur. So Srivas Thakur, even though he's a very elevated Vaishnava, but he gets very annoyed that somebody is blocking his view of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he gets a little upset, and who's pushing me? Who's pushing me? Why are you pushing me? He gets annoyed. So he turns and he hits this Hari Chandan, and then Hari Chandan, he was also going to retaliate. So then Maharaj Prataprudra, he interfered, and he said to Hari Chandan that, you are so fortunate that you have been touched by Srivas Thakur. I don't have that kind of fortune. So then he stopped Hari Chandan. But why I brought this little story up is that, people have feelings, but things don't, matter don't. So something that is living can have feelings. So matter, this chair, I keep hitting the chair, I keep pushing the chair, it doesn't make any difference to the chair. So clearly we are not matter, we are different than matter, our qualities are different than matter. So our activity should also be different. We are spirit souls, we are servants of Krishna. So we should act in that way. So, we are living in the material world, we have some material activities, but our real identity is that we are spirit souls. Sanatan Goswami, he once comes to Mahaprabhu and he says that, Mahaprabhu, everyone says that I'm a Pandit, but I don't even know who I am. And if I don't know who I am, I don't understand what to do. So he says, કે અમે કેને અમાય જારે તાપત્રય ઇહ નાહી જાની કે મને હિતહય. That I don't know who am I, why this tapatraya, these threefold miseries, why are they giving me trouble? And if I don't know all this, how can I know what is my hit, what is beneficial to me? So before I ask what should I know, I should know what am I, who am I? So again, Sambandha Jnana. So then the whole section where Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatan Goswami, the whole section is based on this fact that we are Krishna's eternal servants. And then Mahaprabhu, he proceeds to explain the, so that is Sambandha. Then Mahaprabhu proceeds to explain Abhideya, the process of bhakti, and finally Prayojana. So our identity is that we are spirit souls, that then we should do practical spiritual activities. So then, when we understand this completely, then we think that, oh, let me hear about the spirit, let me hear about Krishna, and not only hear, let me hear as a servant to give pleasure to Krishna, and let me talk about Krishna. I'm a servant of Krishna, so let me remember Krishna, and let me chant his name, and not just repeat, but chant as a servant to give pleasure to Krishna. Let me serve the lotus feet of Krishna, go on parikrama, serve the devotees, worshipping Tulsi Maharani, everything I do to give pleasure to Krishna, because I am the servant of Krishna. Krishna, servants of servants. So, and then we think, let me serve the mission of Krishna. So when we are clear about our identity, then we start acting according to the spiritual friend. So it's already very late because we had a few verses. I tried to speak something based on what Prabhupada has written in the purport, that our identity is based on our qualities. So if anyone has any questions, clarifications, any comments, please feel free to share.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Shalendra here, the one who asked that question. Earlier you pointed out. Now,
Yes.
Krishna did not produce the 16,000 ladies. Those
Sorry,
ladies came to...
Say it again, Prabhuji.
Krishna did not produce the 16,000 ladies. Those came for protection to Krishna. And he, to give them that protection, he gave them that, in today's language in Australia, we call it social security. So he gave them social security. He did not produce them. Now, Rishabdev's 100 sons, they were good children. And in due course, they were great personalities. That's great. But Rishabdev produced 100 children. So there is a difference between the two. That's what I wanted to point out.
But with 16,008 wives, Krishna had 10 sons each. So if you total 16,008 times 10, Krishna had a lot more children than Rishabdev. So that's what I was mentioning. So number of children, doesn't mean uncontrolled enjoyment, So because are we judging the sense gratification just by the number of children, or by person's consciousness, their conduct, or the quality of children they raised, So the 8th verse of this chapter that we are reading, it clearly stated that Rishabdev entered household life just to teach by example. He followed the duties prescribed in Shruti and Smruti. He raised these sons who were highly qualified. So there is a distinction between sense enjoyment for personal sense enjoyment and regulated household life for producing and training the qualified children. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi, that I am the sex life that is not contrary to religious principles. So that in that verse, Krishna in the purport, Prabhupada explains that religious sex life is for bringing for the children and accepting the responsibility to make them Krishna conscious. So yes, number of children does not equate to sense enjoyment. That's the point I was trying to make.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Alrighty. Well, in that regard as well, it is said that, see, Krishna had 16,108 wives. And in order to fulfill his duty, he expanded himself 16,108 times as well. None of the queens felt as though Krishna was being shared by the other wives. So effectively, it is just a manifestation of the Lord Secondly, what happens is when the Lord comes, he comes for two purposes. He comes for annihilating the demons, and that is a secondary purpose. He doesn't have to do that. Even by thought, he can do that. He comes to give pleasure to the devotees. So what happens is Krishna comes to fulfill multiple duties. One of it is, of course, to have pastimes with these devotees. And so when Krishna has multiple wives and multiple children, is actually having pastime with. So it's giving us the opportunity to have a relationship with him. So it's not like how our relationship when we have, some sense gratification is in there. But also what happens is, see, when a person leaves their body, effectively they take birth in this universe. It's for instance, if you have to take birth into another body, another animal body, you'll take birth in this universe only because the Yamuduras don't have jurisdiction on another universe. So when they replace the soul, they replace them within this universe. But on a rare occasion, when a person is of a very elevated state, but not yet ready to go back home, back to Godhead, they take birth where Krishna is having pastime. And in that time, they transfer from this universe to a universe where Krishna is having pastime. And then, of course, then the entities will have the opportunity to take birth as Krishna's child, Krishna's cousin, Krishna's servant. So these are the opportunities the Lord gives to please us as well. So it's a little bit different when it comes to our understanding our relationship with our personal entourage, you say, and as when Krishna has a Leela. So when Krishna has Leela, so Krishna has pastimes, we just pass time.
Yes.
So I don't know if that makes any sense, Mataji,
Yeah.
but in that relationship, in regards to Shailendra, I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Krishna doesn't have, is shared by 16,000 wives. Krishna
Yeah.
expands himself 16,000 times, and with each wife, he has 10 children. Secondly, it's an opportunity for devotees. He comes to also give pleasure to the devotees. And how he gives pleasure is that somebody might want Krishna as a parent, somebody might want Krishna as a spouse. And so Krishna expands himself and develops that abhidaya, the relationship with the devotees. So I don't know if that makes any sense or if that gels a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Good points. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Hare Krishna
Thanks for the
Bhavamayi.
class.
Very
Yes.
nice class. I don't have any questions and all that. And you have done very well with all these three verses. And especially, it tells us that, if we are born in a particular home, whether we are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, or Vaishya, it's only the qualification. And Srila Prabhupada has given these examples when at such an advanced age, he went to US and then he actually made so many Brahmanas, which he always called them as their white elephants. And Giriraj Maharaj has written a beautiful book about that. So the thing is that it is actually our qualities and which makes us Brahmana. Even we are initiated Brahman initiation, but if we don't have the qualities of a Brahmana,
Yes.
or of course the Vaishnava, when we really worship the Lord. And so it's a very important verse for us to learn, because we always come across so many people and they say, no, look, I'm a Brahmana, and and they show their that Yashopa, they just bring that thread, the Brahman thread, and show that. But if you ask them how they are leading their life, that's totally different from what Brahmana is. Thank you very much again. Beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you all for joining. Granth-raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahapuran ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All Guru assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Have a blissful
Her Grace Bhavamayi Dasi ki jai.
all glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
everyone
Krishna.
for joining.
Hare Krishna.